This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 371. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to talk a little bit more of off-season nonsense. It's going to be great. I love off-season nonsense. We're in the heart of that right now.
This is not the heart of the off-season nonsense period. This is pre-draft, like getting ready for the Seahawks to rebuild and refocus going into this new era with Pete Carroll. This is don't just blow this off as off-season nonsense.
Okay, whatever you got to say. Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
What are you salty just because Geno Smith's contract got denied by the league? There was reportedly a contract in place for Geno Smith, and then we find out on Tuesday that the NFL, I guess they just decide to cancel contracts if there's no reason reported as to what's going on here.
Well, all I can hope is that the league took a look at the Geno contract and was like, wait a second. Does this mean he could possibly be a starter in this league? Wait, where did Russell go? I thought he was a starter. Why is he in Denver? All right, BP, back the truck up. We're voiding this contract. We're voiding this trade. It's all done. Like, we're going to fix everything.
Why couldn't the trade have been vetoed? That's what I'm wondering now.
Nope, just Geno's contract, but sounds like it'll get fixed up and whatever. And I think the Seahawks feel pretty set at quarterback at the moment. They've got their guy with the high upside that they think could actually turn into something, or
the guy with the medium upside.
Well, that's what you say, but you also don't know that. That's hard to say. He has high-end talent. He doesn't put it together with any consistency. That's what they're banking on there. So then they're like, hey, if he totally flames out, now we got our guy that is our Teddy Bridgewater. We know for sure he can come in and operate the offense, be a professional, and get us through a season. And that's what Geno is.
Do you think the issue was that the NFL knows we've been signing Geno Smith to these veteran minimum deals over and over and over, and then now it's a deal worth up to $7 million, and they want to make sure that this is correct? Like they didn't make a mistake on the number of extra dollars that's attached to this contract?
Right. Hey, did we miss something here? Did Geno suddenly get good? Is that what happened? I missed it. Was it this offseason?
Yeah, because it looks like you're paying him more than Rashad Penny for the year, and that seems
right
incorrect.
Well, he does play the quarterback position, and so that demands a couple more bucks. There's no doubt.
I suppose, even though, he's been making what he's been making the last few years and been fine. But, yeah, okay, let's just decide to pay Geno more. That's fine.
Yeah.
We didn't need that money for tackles anyway.
Well, no, because they're going to draft a bunch of them. So, yeah, we'll be fine. Again, a lot of this season is whatever. Just churn the roster. That's what we're doing. It's not until next year. This is a 2-year thing for these guys. There's no doubt about that. And if you're looking at this year, it's like, oh, we didn't make enough moves to be competitive here, be competitive there, and all that, then you're not seeing the forest from the trees. This is just the very beginning of a 2-year rebuild. So tap the brakes. When you sit here and think about the idea that they're probably more or less set at quarterback, short of probably drafting a guy real late if they fall, one of the guys falls that they really like, maybe like Carson Strong, maybe he ends up being like a 5th round pick or something. Like I could see him doing that, but I don't think they're going to be drafting any of these dudes high. I don't think they're going out and getting Baker Mayfield. I think they feel pretty comfortable with Geno and Locke for this year. Let it ride. See what happens. But I do have a serious question for you. Because somebody was talking about the Baker situation. Him going to either like the Steelers or the Panthers or the Seahawks, right? So let me ask you a serious question. Would you rather have Drew Lock going into this season or Trubisky? Which that's who the Steelers are rolling with right now.
Yeah, I guess I would rather have Drew Lock over Trubisky.
Yep, I think that one's a pretty much a slam dunk kind of thing for sure. We've seen enough Mitchell. We know what he's all about, right? So let me ask you this. Would you rather have Drew Lock or Sam Darnold going into this season?
I feel like I know who Sam Darnold is at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that one's a little closer. I mean, there might be a way to unearth the talent people seem to see out of Sam Darnold. I don't think there is, but Yeah, I'd still take Drew Lock. So at the end of the day, even though we're one of those teams everybody's looking at and being like, well, what are they doing at quarterback? They're not in the worst situation of all those teams. And I would think that the Panthers and or especially the Steelers would be much more excited about bringing somebody like Baker in than maybe the Seahawks.
Well, the Browns aren't going to want Baker to go to the Steelers, so
Well, the Browns may not have much of a choice when they have to release him.
That's true. That just may be where he ends up. And it sounds like now there were reports saying that the Carolina Panthers were quote unquote front runners at the moment for Baker Mayfield, which it's those kinds of reports that they always seem odd to me. Because if you're front runners, then why haven't you signed him? Like that's why there's no need for that report other than to generate interest among other teams that say, oh, look, this other team, they're about to sign him. Are there any other better offers? Come get Baker.
It could be the teams leaking stuff out and that sort of thing. I can't say that that's an impossibility. I think a lot of it, too, is just writers. They get a little inkling from somebody on the team who's speaking, and you kind of get a feel for something, and you need to write an article. Well, now the Panthers are the front runners to get Baker, and you just need clicks.
Or is it the former player personnel director, Fitterer, who's now the GM of the Panthers, trying to play a little chess behind the scenes for John Schneider to make it sound like they're interested, and then when they drop out, then his fallback will be the Seahawks, and Seattle will get him up like cheap for like a 6th rounder or something.
If you give up a draft pick for Baker Mayfield, you have overpaid. If the Browns really don't want Baker to be going to the Steelers, this is what you say when they give you a call. Hey, that's really cute that you'd like us to trade for Baker. Thing about it is if you just release him, when you release him, because you're going to have to, then all I have to pay is $1.03 million for this year for Baker, give up 0 draft picks, and I have him on my team. So if you really want to keep him out of the Steelers' hands, what is he owed? $18 million?
Yeah.
You're picking up 17 because I'm not paying over that 1.03 because why would I? And secondly, why am I giving you a draft pick to get it so that things work out the way you would like? This is more like an Osweiler deal at this point. Okay. Yeah, I'll take Baker off your hands. I'll pay him $1 million, and you're going to give me a 5th or a 4th. You have to give us a draft pick too. I'm not giving up
that worried about a 6th round pick. I understand what you're saying, but
no,
once you get to 6th or 7th rounders, or a conditional 6th in 2024, like that,
you're but there's no need to. There's 0 need to. So why?
It would be great if they could get more. I'm saying that, a 6th that's fine.
What if the Seahawks gave up a 6th to get Baker?
Yeah,
that'd be fine by you.
Yeah. What?
But I'd be pissed off. Not super pissed off, but a little pissed off because there's 0 reason to give up that 6th round pick. 0.
6th round picks don't matter.
Number one, what options does Baker have? What options does he have?
He really doesn't have much of any option. He can't dictate where he goes.
What options do the Browns have?
You don't have to explain this to me like I'm 5. Right. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't care about a 6th round pick.
Well, you should. It's a pick.
Okay, but it's a dude who's probably not going to make the team anyway for a guy who is better at quarterback than anybody that you have on the team right now. Don't wave your head back and forth like that, like you're weighing the options.
Here's what I'll say about the Baker thing. We know who Baker is at this point. We've seen his ceiling on a really good team, the way that Pete Carroll wants to play ball, great defense, run the hell out of the ball, and his ceiling is a 2nd round exit. That's Baker Mayfield's ceiling. 2020 is Baker Mayfield's ceiling. That's the most you're ever going to get out of that guy.
Okay.
And that's fine. But I would say that the high end possibility of Drew Lock is more than that.
No. There's no way that you're looking at Drew Lock as a possible better than 2nd round exit from the playoffs.
I'd say that his potential ceiling is higher than that. Now, is it super likely that he hits that potential ceiling? Absolutely not. but he definitely has far more talent than Baker. Baker is Jimmy G light. Why give up a draft pick, have to pay him money the next year if he has a decent year for a guy that's never going to take you to the promised land?
When I listen to a guy like Baker Mayfield, because he was on a podcast here recently, sounded like he thought that the Seahawks were a potential option. When I heard this from Baker, it told me something about his mindset that I don't think that the Seahawks have with Drew Lock. I don't think it's there with Geno Smith. I think this is something a little bit different.
No, but that's the biggest battle. It's the internal battle always. When you realize that it's always been within yourself and you've always had it within yourself, then realizing that at that point it's up to you to motivate yourself is the biggest deal. Because guys, you can get complacent. I know right now that I could, with how I live and the way I want to live, I could retire right now financially, being as blessed as I have been. Because I'm not going to go out and do dumb shit. Catfish! But I want to be great.
Right.
And so I have a bunch of extra motivation, but the process of not getting complacent is a huge deal.
It's a battle.
And it's a huge battle within the locker room in my position, being a quarterback, of okay, some of these guys don't play the game because they love it. They're playing it to get retirement fund. Respect. You know what? Whatever. Right. You're doing it because you're God-given talent and you can do it better than anybody else in the world.
Right.
And they're making tons of millions of dollars and they don't really care about winning. They're just out there to do it. How do you motivate people like that to win is where I'm at now. It's how can I get the best out of people that are making a ton of money?
Why is that funny to you?
Yeah, well, trying to figure out how to motivate the selfish players, how to win. That's where I'm at right now. No, the catfish, you're not. You know where you're at right now? On some dude's couch in Ohio with a dog that's lying on its back, just waiting to have its belly scratched. You're not even on a team, man. Technically you're on the Browns, but they definitely don't want you there. They're you are gone. How can you say you're in a place where you're ready to try to lead these men to do all these things, and you don't even have a freaking team? You know where you're at right now? Look at the boots of somebody who's going to give you a chance. That's where you are right now.
He's going to get a chance.
Baker's ego is still way too high compared to his actual ability. And I don't care if his mentality is not something that we have on the team, but the entire physical skill set of Baker Mayfield is definitely worse than Drew Lock and on par with Geno.
You know what? That's fine. I think that he doesn't have to have a crazy physical skill set. He has to have that mindset of wanting to win. And as much as we saw Geno, I don't think he has that kind of comeback ability that we've seen the team need under Russ, the way that Pete Carroll likes to coach games. I don't know enough about Drew Lock because we haven't seen him play in the system, but what I've seen on tape, the vibe I get from the way he speaks, in terms of leadership level, I think it goes Geno, Baker, and then Drew. In terms of ability, I think it's Baker, Geno. Well, upside, I think there's still Baker, Drew, then Geno. I feel like Geno's kind of the one that across all of the options is kind of the middle point, and which is why I think he'll ultimately be the starter for Seattle, because I don't know if they'll go with Baker, but I do know that Baker thinks that Seattle's an option.
Where do you think you're going to, do you have any idea where you're going to land?
Oh, man. If this would have been about a week and a half ago, I would have said Indianapolis. Seattle, it'd probably be the most likely option. But even then,
and where you're sitting, you don't give a fuck.
I'm ready for the next chapter.
Right.
The next opportunity. Because the only one I'm guaranteed with the next spot is 1 year. Because I have one more year of a guaranteed contract. So I have 1 year wherever I go, and it's my next interview. It's something to put on my resume for the next job. Whether it be I play that year wherever it's going to be and they extend me for longer, or if it's that year and then I get picked up somewhere else. I know I have this 1 year to do as much as I possibly can. Yeah. It's not extra pressure. It's just I've been here before.
Yeah, because he's been discarded pretty much every level of football that he's played at, short of Oklahoma. Every other team up there, they've discarded him. And it's amazing to me also that there's nobody on the Browns coming out and just singing Baker's praises. Oh man, they did him dirty. I really wish, this, that, and the other thing. Then you see the rumors to the Panthers come out and Robbie Anderson being like, no, right. Please God, no. If the Texans are, if they'd rather go with Davis Mills than Baker Mayfield, that tells you something. If the Colts rather would go with 96-year-old Matt Ryan than Baker Mayfield, that tells you something. Like
the Lions are going with Jared Goff rather than Baker Mayfield.
Exactly. Trubisky instead of Baker Mayfield. Look,
I don't think the Steelers had a choice in that one, but yeah, I get where you're going.
Well, sure. They signed him,
Oh, yeah, but I don't think that they went into that signing thinking that Baker might be an option for them.
Well, I don't know that anybody thought Baker was going to be an option going into this year, but the market has spoken. Baker's just not that good, and he doesn't have the tantalizing physical attributes that make you think, well, maybe in our system, it'll just be a little bit better. Like, he can raise that to the next level. It's a little like why Jimmy G's still sitting around. I mean, we've all seen the Jimmy G ceiling.
If Jimmy G were not like chronically injured, I think that he would have a lot more landing spots open to him.
Sure. Health is a part of talent, and he doesn't have it. So, I mean, it's just a part of who he is. Baker's the same way. He's been injured quite a bit. And I don't want to take away from his toughness. He's tough as nails, man. Playing through that shoulder injury last year, a lot of respect. But he's a low-tier, low-end starter in this league. It's what I thought he'd be when he came in. It's what it's proved out to be since he's been in the league. I think the thing that might save him this year is that all the guys coming out of the draft, I think the upper end of them are Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't know that any of these guys are going to be even a Andy Dalton level starter.
Well, and it definitely not right away. I mean, you're even hoping that after 2 or 3 years that they're reaching Andy Dalton level.
Yeah. Willis could be one of those guys.
But Willis has a different component to his game that a lot of the other guys don't have. And so that's why a lot of people see him as the possible upside. I know Ritter's being talked about as maybe the
Just
top guy based on his decision making and the pre-snap stuff. And
if those are the things that are putting you over the top on Ritter, I don't know what you're watching.
That's what other people are talking about with regard to Ritter.
Yeah, proverbial you, not you. Those people out there that are like, oh, I like, the way he reads the field and stuff. He gets his receivers killed all the freaking time. He's late on everything. Half the time he's throwing the ball a different direction that his feet are pointing. I don't get it on the Ritter thing. I went back and reread Paxton Lynch's little draft scouting report on NFL.com, right? And it's almost note for note what they write about Ritter. And oddly enough, Lance Zierlein did both comps, right?
I think we should just call him Zantz. I like that.
Zantz. All right. So the Zantzer, I think he even liked Paxton Lynch a little bit better because of the arm strength. But yeah, they're just such comparable players to me. I genuinely don't understand the Ritter thing at all.
Corral could be, he might end up being the better of the bunch.
I think he's the best in this class, potentially.
Maybe he could be Andy Dalton.
The long ball stuff is really alarming with him. Like, it's just so hit or miss. He'd have to really, really work on it. And that's possible. But I'd rather spend a third on down for a quarterback. Any one of those top 6 dudes, however you got them ranked, even if they chose Ritter in like the 5th.
Sure.
Like, I'd be fine with that. But a lot of people out there, well, maybe not. But that's because half the leagues are full of idiots. So I take them later. But I really don't want the Seahawks drafting anybody at the quarterback position from this class, really in the first 3 picks that they have.
No, not with the first 3. And yeah, when you start getting to Carson Strong, not knowing how far he's going to fall with his knee issue, and he's one of those guys that, could they bench him for a year, let him get healthy, and then a year from now, maybe he is mobile enough to at least move around. And
sure.
and has the arm strength to do some of the things that, you want to put him out there to compete with maybe another quarterback for next year. But yeah,
he had a faster 40 time than most of the QBs. I still don't understand how that happened.
Talk about tough dudes. That dude, Carson Strong's a tough dude.
Yeah, well, he's got the last name to match, but that's the thing is like, do I view Baker Mayfield as any better than any of these prospects? Not really, and I don't really view any of those prospects any better than Baker.
If you look at him as a mid-tier starter in the NFL, he's better than anybody that the Seahawks have on their roster right now, and that's when Geno Smith ultimately signs, because yes, technically he's not on the team right now, but according to Rappaport, they're going to get it worked out. He's going to be on the team. So we can move forward thinking that Geno's going to be on the team.
Do you view Baker as a mid-tier starter in this league?
Yeah, he would be. Look, the way that the NFC is set up right now, he's at least a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the NFC.
In the NFC?
In the NFC. There's not a lot.
Okay, let's just go through it real quick. Stafford and Kyler better.
Yeah.
In the North, I would take Fields over him. I'd take Cousins over him. I'd take Rodgers over him. In the South,
we don't know enough about Fields yet that I put him in there. I'm putting guys who are.
Let's take Fields off. So now we're at 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Dak.
I take Brady.
Yeah. And Brady. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was getting to the NFC.
Oh, okay.
So let's go
I forgot we were going division by division. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I definitely take Brady.
It's the only one from that division you'd take, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going through them. Yep, I think you're right. He's yeah, it's close. It's close on Jameis or Baker.
Okay,
it's close.
That's fine.
Yeah, but so we'll even leave him off then. Okay, so then I would definitely take Dak.
Right.
I would definitely take Hurts. I would take Wentz.
No, you take a running back for quarterback over Baker.
He at least does one thing well.
And I wouldn't take Wentz. He's been through 2 teams and not been great.
Yeah, but he can actually play football.
That's why I put him at 6 or 7. We named like 6 dudes.
That was 8.
Yeah, but you counted Hurts and Wentz, and I don't like that.
Okay, you cannot like it, but that still puts him 7th at best.
Yeah.
And that's taking even some of the mediocre, fringy ones off the board. And that's just in the NFC.
That's what I mean. When you get to where you're considering Jameis, Wentz, or Hurts, he's right in that range. And so, there's 6 easy ones ahead of him. That's it. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
And I think there's a coin flip chance that at the end of the season, we look at Locke and think that he's better than Baker.
Geno's going to be starting most of the year, but okay.
I don't think so. Unless Locke really screws the pooch through the offseason and the preseason.
I don't see how Locke makes it through the offseason and proves that he can lead the team better than Geno.
Well, they're always looking for those unique players, right? Locke actually has some unique traits, the arm strength, the arm talent, that sort of thing, that literally is pretty rare. Geno doesn't have any of those. Geno's he's Tavares Jackson.
He's a guy that he's one of the better backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I like Geno.
It's fine. I mean, we're going to roll with some dumpster fire at quarterback one way or the other this year, it feels like. I just think out of all the dumpster fires, the one that has the most chance of either burning out or being put out so that it's actually a serviceable quarterback is Locke.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I love that scenario. It's just, if you're picking out of the bad stuff and including the rookies from this draft, if you put Locke in this draft, is he not the first quarterback taken?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just watch any Locke tape from last year and put it up against any rookie tape that from any of their college seasons. And it's clear that you would take Locke first over any of them.
Right.
But he's also had enough time in the league to where I feel like he would have shown enough to, he couldn't beat out Teddy. So I don't think he can beat out Geno.
I think that has more to do with the mentality of the coaching staff that was there in Denver more so than his ability to beat out Teddy or not beat out
And
Teddy.
speaking about mentality of coaching staffs, if you're Baker Mayfield and you're in Cleveland, like, doesn't that weigh on you? I feel like physically, mentally, being in Cleveland weighs on you, and just getting out of Cleveland would it make anybody better? Look,
I don't know.
It made OBJ better.
That's because OBJ is the
Cleveland
ultimate quitter if
OBJ
he doesn't-
stunk.
Yeah, because he's a front runner. And if he's not getting his way and he's not running out front, then OBJ shuts it down. That's just who he is. That's the guy that he is.
He was Randy Moss in a Tennessee uniform in Cleveland.
He was Randy Moss in an Oakland uniform.
That too. Both.
Yeah. But with that said, Baker definitely didn't shut it down on Cleveland. I think he actually gave everything that he has to offer at the quarterback position.
And that was one of the takeaways from the interview too. He was trying to play as hurt as he was.
And I respect that. I just don't think he's that good of a quarterback. And so messing around with the Baker thing is a gigantic waste of time. It's going to be another headline, another story around the team as we try to de-hoopla the team. And I don't see Pete really going for that.
If Marshawn Lynch leaving Buffalo, we would have looked at that at the time and said, oh, all the hoopla from Marshawn in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Man.
I know. That was also, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so things may have changed a little bit in what they are looking for and not looking for right now. I think that's part of it. I think the other thing, too, is I think they decided to move on from Russ because they're looking at our division rivals who have now gone to, 3 Super Bowls and 2 NFC championship games, whether that's the Rams or the Niners. And they've done it with the likes of Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Matthew Stafford. So does that, to you, signify that you have to have one of those top 5 guys to make it to the Super Bowl? Because they're having more consistent success than we are right now. Does it make more sense to actually build the team up, go with more of a mediocre guy, and let Russ and the hoopla go? That next big contract, which I'll talk about my do better, that Russ is in line for. And I just think they looked at everything in totality and said, wait a second, let's build the team. Like, look at the Rams. They're playing great defense. When they're clicking, they're running the football well.
Yeah.
Look at the Niners. They play great defense, and when they're clicking, they're running the football well. And then they just have a mediocre trigger guy. Jimmy G has been to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games since the last time Russ has been even in an NFC championship game.
That's kind of
Jimmy
gross.
Garoppolo.
Yeah, so Jared Goff's made it to a Super Bowl, former first overall pick. Matthew Stafford's made it to a Super Bowl, former first overall pick. I think you bring another former first overall pick to Seattle, and we do this the way that the Rams have done it.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay, I'm off the Baker stuff now. We can put it behind us. I've said my piece. I know. Everybody listening has all said hooray too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants him.
There's a few of us that want him.
Well, a few of you have fallen on your head a few too many times too. Maybe ate some paint chips as a kid. I don't know what it is.
EB2K writes in on YouTube, says the world in which Russ and Drew have similar years exists only in your dreams. Seahawks initiated the trade by refusing to build the team around their best player. Seahawks 32 in money spent on offensive line since 2014. Seahawks initiated the trade by drafting at a horrific level for years. Since 2016, 52 picks and only 1 All-Pro, a punter. Pete and John would have been fired long ago in any other city but soft Seattle. They've used Wilson as their life preserver for years. Pete admitted as much. What did they do to show their gratitude when Russ finally asked publicly for offensive line help? Nothing. Of course you'd ask for a trade.
Lots of holes in that, but I had read that comment and went back and just re-listened to that little portion of the pod that we talked about. The idea of a world in which Locke has a similar season to Russ, right?
Yeah.
And apparently he wasn't listening because it could happen, but
Probably
the
not
expectation. Yeah, I mean, the probability is extremely slim. Those weren't the exact words, but they might as well have been. It was something like that. So, yes, it's in your dreams or my dreams.
We were dreaming about it.
Exactly. There's a world in which that could exist. It's not a very likely world, not at all, but it could possibly exist. Secondly, Russ says, oh, geez, I want better offensive linemen. And they did nothing. They did nothing. Well, that's factually incorrect. They went out and they brought in Gabe Jackson, a quality offensive lineman. A couple years before that, they went out and got Dwayne Brown. Went out and got Brandon Shell. Now, is it enough? Would you have liked for them to have done more? Absolutely. But the idea that they did nothing to address it is false. Also, they drafted offensive linemen relatively high with a large number of picks over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Now, were they the right offensive linemen? Apparently not. Like, we've gotten some bad ones. But it wasn't that they were doing nothing. And I think that's a narrative that is completely overblown. In that whole Russ is a total victim in this mentality.
Russ shares some of the blame. It's not that they're completely without blame. But you know what? I agree with the sentiment that if I were to choose one over the other, if I'm to choose Russell Wilson over Pete Carroll and John Schneider, yeah, if I were the owner of the Seahawks, I would have kicked John and Pete to the curb and rolled with Russ.
Yeah, so if I had been Jody Allen, this would have gone very differently because, one, I do think that John and Pete are the right people for the job right now. I still need to see it for a little while longer. I mean, it's not like they've been dumpster fires for the past 10 years. Like the idea that the team has been trash is just, it's just laughable. It's just laughable because it's just not true. Go look at the records. They haven't been trash because they've been having winning seasons far more often, like a 9-1 clip than they haven't. So John and Pete, I would have definitely kept them. And if I was Jody Allen and Russ was having a hissy fit about wanting to go somewhere to go be more of a CEO quarterback somewhere, I would have looked at him and said, tough catfish, get your ass back in here and play quarterback. You're under contract. And after that, I might still franchise tag you. Hold out all you want. Take all that money out of your pocket if that's what you want to do. I don't care. You're going to come and you're going to play quarterback here and be a professional about it. Pete and John, you're going to coach this guy, be professionals about it, and figure it out together. I just wouldn't have accepted this divorce that absolutely didn't need to happen all over catfish measuring contests.
And the way that we see quarterback salaries going right now, too, Russell Wilson under contract for 2 years, franchise tag after the 2 years, franchise tag again after the other franchise tag year, and you're still not to where the Deshaun Watson guaranteed deal is at on terms of his average.
Right. I don't understand when teams all had their collective balls fall off and become captive to these quarterbacks. Oh, he might hold out. He might hold out. What are we going to do? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Tell the guy to come in and report to camp, or you're fining him into oblivion. You're under contract. Like, I just don't understand that for the life of me.
If he wants to hold out, then that's why you have Geno Smith on the roster. You allow Geno to play the preseason. If a player decides, like Russ were to decide to hold out, okay, Geno can play week 1 and 2. And then when it gets to the financial point of where holding out is not going to work for you, maybe then you have to sell the treehouse in your yard, or at least rent it out to hold you over for a few bucks until, so you can make the next rent payment on that huge house.
Yeah.
Those house pictures, man.
I didn't look.
You didn't? The treehouse was amazing.
Oh, was it? Okay. Oh, that's cool.
It was right on the lake. It was all like covered in, I don't know if it was real plantification around the outside of it, but his tree house was nicer than my house.
Yeah, I could see. Well, I know it's nicer than mine since I'm an adult playing Fort in the Woods right now.
It's almost on the same kind of footprint as yours, but it was 2 stories.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And it was really nice looking on the inside from the one photo that it had. And it had like all these windows to where you looked out over the lake.
Gave up a sweet tree house on the lake to go and stand out in the wind in Denver. It'll be great for him. The snow and the wind.
12 bathrooms in his new Denver house.
Hey, if you think that Russell Wilson doesn't have any catfish to give, his bathroom count suggests otherwise. He's got lots of catfish to put all over the place.
It would be fun having 12 bathrooms.
Why?
Why not? If you have a house that big, you don't want to walk all that far to the next bathroom.
Are you going to put people movers in your house now too? Because it's just too damn hard to take a couple steps somewhere.
I'd probably put those moving walkways in my house if I had Russell Wilson money.
Couple things I've never understood about what some people value in a house. Like, there's a lot of people that put a ton of value into the bedroom and the bathroom. And how many actual waking hours do you spend in either of those 2 rooms? Like, why would you care how big or small a bedroom is or big or small a bathroom within a certain parameter?
Have you ever showered under a literal waterfall? If you want that in your house and you know how awesome it is, then yeah, you build that into your house. If you want a bat cave where you can drive in and then onto a platform that rotates and your car like goes up into the garage, that would be cool. These are all things that I have planned out for when I make my Russell Wilson checks.
Okay. Well, I wasn't banging on garages, Brandon. It was just bedrooms and bathrooms. I think people put too much
the
value.
bathroom with the shower where it's under a literal waterfall. That's okay. And then the bedroom, I'm with you.
Well, it's not a literal waterfall. It's literally a man-made fountain. So I guess that's nice. I mean, if you want to actually have a shower underneath a waterfall, you need to buy some property with a real stream on it with a fair amount of drop.
Showering in the summer could be difficult, but otherwise, and in the winter.
Summer would be the easy part, yeah.
Well, it warms up enough to where, I mean, the spring is when you have the best showers, obviously.
No, that would still be too damn cold.
It would probably be too cold.
August would be your best showers. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that Russ has 12 thrones to sit on, because apparently he's become such a big-headed dude that he needs to feel like a king in all 12 of his bathrooms everywhere he goes.
Hey, I'm not complaining about the number of bathrooms.
That's weird.
There's utility to it that I see.
How many people live in the house? Is it more than 4?
Well, they probably have a nanny full time, so that's 5. He probably has his personal chef. Maybe
Who
the
lives
personal
in the
chef.
back house?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Who else? How many other people do you need to support?
You need more.
I don't live this
your
life.
Starting offense to be living with you in your house to justify 12 bathrooms.
Jerv Reed writes in, getintheflock.com. Agree with Adam that if you're going to do a full rebuild, you have to let go of Wags as well. Disagree with you both, but because of the sports hate, I understand. Listen to both press conferences, and I still believe in Russ having a long career and at least getting 2 chips. I still don't believe Pete and John because of Pete's coach speak. When you have a franchise quarterback, you do everything in your power to make him happy and work around it. Russ was consistently putting up 30 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions per season. The defense has been catfish the last several seasons. As much as you want to speak the let's ride curse into existence, it probably won't happen. Russ was corny with Seattle. It's just part of his brand. I'd be putting more emphasis that the Madden curse hits the Rams especially hard, because that's way more consistent than the new one. Go Hawks and catfish the Lambs, the rest of the division, and Goodell from Jerv.
Hey, appreciate it, Jerv. But here's the thing, bud. It's always good to be an early adopter on some of these things rather than being late to the bandwagon. And the # let's ride curse. Like, this is be an early adopter. Get into the belief mode right now. This is happening. I honestly believe that the Broncos are setting themselves up for a fair amount of failure. So I saw the little clip from Garrett Bowles at his press conference. I know you're used to get hit, but you won't get hit here. Like, Garrett Bowles can barely string together a sentence. Garrett Bowles has been a whipping boy of the Denver fan base for the last 5 years. Like, he is not that good. And Garrett Bowles is lying out his ass. All I had to do was go on YouTube and type in Teddy Bridgewater sack. First clip that pulls up is Garrett Bowles getting confused on who he's supposed to block, whiffing on everybody, and watching a Jacksonville Jaguar. Oh, yeah, it was their Josh Allen come in and explode Teddy Bridgewater. He's not going to get hit in Denver. He's going to get hit every bit as much as he got hit in Seattle, because that line really isn't that much better. And on top of that, Russ is still going to hold the ball like he does. He is going to invite 10 or 15 extra sacks a year because of his style of play. It's going to happen. And with him getting older and him slowing down, like, I'm telling you, the Broncos have dug their own grave on this, and they don't even realize it yet. The Let's Ride curse is just getting started here.
I agree with Jerv in the sense that, consistently, Russ putting up 30 touchdowns, fewer, around 10 interceptions. But yeah, I think you do have to factor in the number of sacks that he consistently takes too, that it's not just on the Seahawks offensive line.
And the amount of second halves of seasons that Russ has, let's just say, not been up to par. Last 2 or 3 years, he's basically Kyler Murray'd his last couple seasons.
If I had to put money on who was going to have the better next few seasons, though, and the Let's Ride curse wasn't a thing, I would say that Denver and Russell Wilson would probably do better. But since the curse is a thing, I mean, It's over.
The other part of it is that the AFC West is freaking loaded, dude. They're going to have a hard go with it.
If the Let's Ride curse somehow doesn't happen, like if there's witchcraft in Denver that's able to stave off this curse somehow, then I think
something impossible.
Something impossible. Then I think they finish second behind the Chiefs.
I think they finished third in that division this year.
Who do you think finishes in second?
Chargers.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for the Raiders.
Oh, sure. I'm rooting for the Raiders a little bit too, and I think they'll do some damage. I just think that they're going to beat each other up so badly, and the margin of error is going to be so slim. And I genuinely don't see the massive upgrade of a roster that everybody seems to think Denver is. I really don't.
No, they have a running back that can be healthy. They have wide receiver weapons that are similar to what Russ had. They have an offensive line that's similar. There's an upgrade on defense. I do like Denver's defense better than what we have in Seattle.
But we say that. Well, we like Denver's defense better than Seattle's, but they just got rid of the guy who
made the defense. Yes, I understand that part too.
So we don't know that that's the same defense.
They're still the same players. They're going to be okay.
Sure, and they're also going to be put in a lot of tough situations as Russ wants to go out there and air it out.
Oh, yeah. Have fun being on the field for 35 to 40 minutes a game.
Yeah. I don't see all of the Russell Wilson problems going away just by simply moving away from Pete Carroll. I don't think that is really the issue. I don't think Pete was really the issue there. And we're going to find out. That's the beauty of these next 2 years.
Yeah. I didn't want to find out. That's part of the other thing too.
No, it's all a year early. And like I said before, if I had Jody Allen, I just wouldn't have put up with this.
Well, I would have ridden it out until Russ's, second franchise tag.
Yeah.
But, I'm kind of rooting for Derek Carr just based. Did you hear him after after he signed his contract with the Raiders?
I did not. No.
Everyone looks at like certain numbers and they're going to say, oh, well, they're not going to get the whole picture of how it's structured and how we did things. So that Tim, my agent, myself, and the team, we made sure, guys like Chandler, guys like Devontae, guys like hopefully Hunter and Foster, and those guys can stay here. The way we structured it. I went through a heartbreak already last time I signed my contract. My best friend left. You know what I mean? And I didn't want that to ever happen again. And so this was an opportunity for me to prove to the team, to the organization, to our fans, that the way we're going to structure this is so that we can keep everybody together and really have real continuity, really have something to build on. And so for me, it was like, how do we do that? Usually in these negotiations, how much money can we get, and then how much can we save? And for this was just different.
And when he was talking about his best friend, it was Khalil Mack, who left to go to Chicago the last time he signed a deal. So,
gotcha.
I don't know, it seems like a genuine dude.
I love the sentiment of the comments for sure, in the idea of the being a team player that way for sure. Enjoy that very much. However, you're only going to get paid so much because he is literally a mid-tier quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I would take him over Baker, but yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Cousins, that kind of range.
Yeah, I was trying to think of another guy other than Cousins, but yeah, he's right in that range.
Matt Ryan, the majority of his career, Matty mediocre, except for the 1 year. Just kind of that mid-tier guy.
I think I would take Carr over Cousins, though, too.
I would, too.
He's right at the top of that tier.
All right, how about Stafford?
I don't know. Maybe.
See, I think Stafford and Carr are super comparable. Like, both pretty dang talented, can do some things, have some wild moments, and then once a game, they will try to give it away to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen Stafford's new AT&T commercial?
No.
Okay, I'll give you a quick rundown. He runs into the AT&T store, and then there's the little gal, the spokeslady,
Yeah.
You'd recognize her. And she's like, says something about being able to trade in your new phone. And he's like, oh, so I could take my old phone that was, let's say, 12 years old, that I loved every minute with and appreciate so much, and trade it in for something that's better for my situation right now, enjoy immediate success, but then never forget about my old phone ever. And she's like, yeah, it's actually just like that. And I was like, that made me laugh.
That's kind of funny.
I know he's a Ram, but he seems like an all right guy.
Gross. Why would you even say that?
Because I don't think Matt Stafford is a douche. I don't think he's a douche. I can't.
Where is your Rams hate? I'm revoking.
Oh, it's there. It's there. Like, I hope he throws 64 picks this year in one game.
I don't believe you. You like him too much.
I don't have to hate him, the person, to sports hate the hell out of him.
Yeah, you probably like Sean McVay too.
No, he's a catfish and tool.
All right.
See, I can be honest about all of it.
I wanted to go back and just, as we're going into draft season for the Seahawks and all this discussion about, quarterback being such an important position, I wanted to remind people of the 2011 draft class.
Oh yeah, you brought this up the other day. This sounded intriguing. I'm excited to hear what you came up with.
Well, it's just that year, there was a little bit different in 2011 because there was a top quarterback option that everybody expected to go first overall. And that was
that Cam?
That was Cam Newton.
Okay.
Heisman Trophy winner coming out that season and just, had all the physical tools. He was the number one guy. And then there was a list of other quarterbacks that year where everybody was kind of up in the air on, I think, that some liked more than others based on physical tools, based on just, mentality, those sorts of things. But no consensus, I think, that year to where you said, okay, there's Cam and then there's the next guy. But you had a lot of depth at other positions that were, some top talent. I mean, just go down the list of guys in the top 10 who weren't quarterbacks. It was Von Miller, who went number 2, Marcel Darius, who went number 3 to the Bills, Pro Bowler, AJ Green. You got Patrick Peterson, who went to the Cardinals, future Hall of Famer. Julio Jones went to the Falcons. Alden Smith went to the Niners, who, he would have been great. He was, Pro Bowl caliber player. Tyron Smith went to the Cowboys at number 9. And then if you go outside the top 10, you got J.J. Watt, who went to the Texans. You have two other teams, though. And the idea that, you've got to take a quarterback because you're a quarterback needy team. You don't want to pass up on talent. Two other guys that went in the top 10 as quarterbacks that year. Jake Locker, who a lot of Huskies fans will remember, went to the Titans at number 8, ahead of Tyron Smith and J.J. Watt. The other quarterback who went ahead of Watt, Blaine Gabbert to the Jaguars.
Oof.
And then Christian Ponder went number 12 to the Vikings.
Oh, God,
and you still had Robert Quinn on the board, defensive end. You had Mike Pouncey, you had solid, really good center.
Yeah.
Ryan Kerrigan, nice pass rusher who went to Washington. Nate Solder, who went to the Patriots at 17. So these are the players that you're potentially passing up just because you want to get a quarterback before everybody else gets a quarterback. And you have these stories of Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, Christian Ponder.
Yeah, I remember that year. I remember thinking I didn't love Cam as much as a lot of people did. He felt like a one-read guy.
Mm-hmm.
And which he got a little past that. He's probably a two-read guy in the NFL at the height of his game. But he was so gifted otherwise that, he could turn that into
when you
an
can
MVP.
run over dudes running up the middle as a quarterback.
Right. So he ended up being a little better than I thought. I thought Locker had a chance. I was like, maybe. He's super raw. He does weird things sometimes, but, I liked his demeanor. Apparently, when he came back to Washington for his last year, he just walked into the coach's office with his dog and was like, I'll be back. And then walked back out. I like that. I like that. I remember looking at Gabbert and being like, dumpster fire. Remember looking at Ponder and being like, never, ever Ponder.
And Dalton and Kaepernick were that year too, but they went in the second round.
I really wanted the Seahawks to take Dalton that year.
Yeah.
I can remember being specifically bummed that they didn't take Dalton. And it turns out they probably would have been better off with Kaepernick. So, but again, you look through that and would you rather have Julio, JJ, Pouncey, all those names that you went through than any of those quarterbacks short of Cam? And the answer is absolutely yes. And this draft feels very similar to that.
You're looking at a potential long-term building piece within the top 10. And it does concern me, the idea of potentially trading out of that spot if you're not going to be able to get a guy quite like that. Now, maybe, there's a lot of talk about Linderbaum, the center, being, potentially one of those guys. And generally you can get those guys. Pouncey went at number 15. That's kind of I feel like 15 is where the cutoff point is for centers for whatever reason that are going to be are expected to be really good. I don't know why, but
just happens to be that way.
It just happens to be that there's certain positions that people don't draft. Running backs getting to be one of those positions. Although now it seems like you hear people upset at the idea that, maybe the Seahawks draft a running back at the top of the second round. Oh, you don't draft a running back in the top of the second round. That's way too early to draft a running back.
Yeah. Who wants the Derek Henrys, the Jonathan Taylors, even the Zeke Elliott's of the world? Who wants them on your team, especially if you're going to be a run first team?
Yeah, don't you think that the Kansas City Chiefs are kicking themselves for not taking Jonathan Taylor over Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end of the first round?
I honestly thought that was a really great pick for them. I thought that was going to be an awesome fit.
I did too. When you look back now, you go, ooh, Jonathan Taylor's really good.
Yeah.
But it was because the reason why he fell was because he didn't show the pass catching at Wisconsin, because they don't really do that. They don't really throw to their running backs. So he just didn't have that on film the way that Edwards-Helaire did.
Sure. And Edwards-Helaire is more of a space kind of back and that sort of thing, where Taylor's a bit more of a power back.
Yeah. It seemed to fit better for Casey.
Yeah, it did. I thought that was going to be a money fit, and it's still not a bad one. But yeah, possibly Jonathan Taylor could have been even bigger difference maker for them. But yeah, I would not be upset if they pick a really good back with their second first round pick that they're going to get, and maybe or the mid to late second round. That'd be pretty cool, because they're trading back from 9.
Man, I would be okay with them trading up if it was for one of those tackles, though. If they don't think that a tackle is going to fall to them at 9, I'd be okay with trading up for either of those guys.
That wouldn't get me upset. Although I wouldn't be upset if they picked with their first 4 selections, whatever they end up being, offensive or defensive linemen. Like, just do that, please. And then the rest we can figure out.
Preferably tackle or center. I feel like we have enough guards. But yes, offensive line, defensive line. I'd even take a defensive tackle. If you're talking about getting a guy in the top 10 who can be that interior pass rush type presence, take that guy. Even though you have Poona Ford and Al Woods and all these other dudes, Shelby Harris, take that guy. I would
be all about it. Just as long as they play in the trenches, I'm good. Like, that's where I want to focus. And I really hope that they don't get sucked into the cornerback thing, because I think they can develop guys to be serviceable on the back end.
Ooh, I kind of like the corners though. I still would be okay if they went corner, as long as it was one of the top 2 guys.
It wouldn't anger me. What position would anger you?
Tight end absolutely would anger me.
Yeah, I'd be pissed. Would receiver piss you off?
Well, probably because it would mean that they're either trading, because Tyler's one of my favorite players, DK is one of my favorite players. So yeah, it would probably piss me off.
Would linebacker piss you off?
Probably not, because if they're really switching to a 3-4, then linebacker would technically be a pass rushing position.
Or could be at the very least.
Yeah. If you're taking them one that early, it's probably.
Yeah, and I'm talking in the first 4 picks, right? Like things that would piss you off within the first 4 picks.
The first 4 in the first. Yeah. Okay. I thought we were just talking. I thought we were just talking top 10.
Oh, top 10? Yeah.
Yeah. With the first 3 picks, yeah. Safety, tight end. I'd be okay with a linebacker at any, even a middle linebacker in that early second round spot. Mm-hmm. And probably, I couldn't get too mad at quarterback for if Corral somehow fell to the early second round. Like, I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't be mad.
I think that's in range. Although, if you look at the draft order just above us in the second round, it's a bunch of teams that are picking in the first, obviously above us, and then they come back around in the second. So if those quarterbacks do slide, you would probably have to package something to get up towards the very upper end, because it's like, what, Panthers? I remember there being like 4 teams ahead of us there that you'd be like, there was a decent quarterback here in the early second round. They'd probably go for it.
I think Falcons, Panthers, Lions.
Falcons even think Mariota's better than Baker.
You know what? I might even take Mariota over Baker.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that Baker, Jameis, Mariota area there, that's all that kind of low tier starters. We'll see what happens kind of thing. Locks in there.
You don't really hear about a lot of teammates loving Mariota either.
I think it's because he's such a quiet dude.
That could be.
Nobody dislikes him, though. You don't have that narrative out there that you do about, Baker. And
no.
Mariota's also not out there slinging insurance on TV every second it gets, even though he hasn't won anything yet.
That's a good point. Let's get to the second half of the show. Before the break, we talked about what positions would really make us upset. I named mine. Are you feeling similarly?
Yeah, it was almost like get out of my head.
Okay.
I think we're on the same page. And I think most Seattle fans are kind of in the same boat and kind of see it similarly.
We riot the VMAC if they take a tight end with any of the first 3 picks. That's probably
probably do it.
That's probably number 1.
I think a running back at 9 would be...
That would be too much.
That'd be too much. Although I haven't gone through the running backs. I don't know. There might be a dude in there that's just awesome. So
there's 2 dudes that are pretty awesome. There's Kenneth Walker. He's kind of a dude who will plow over guys. Ooh. And then there's Breece Hall. And he's more of the pass catching type back, but also can be physical. Those are your 2 top guys. So if they go with either one of those guys, but I think most people are looking end of the first, early second at those guys.
All right. Well, maybe that falls into the trade back category. They pick up Linderbaum or whatever his name is, and then grab the running back and then quarterback. And
you end up having 4 picks in the top 100 by trading back. And yeah, I could see that happening.
It's going to be fun. That's the thing. We just got to have fun with it and enjoy the process and the ride. This is what being a fan's all about, man. Going through the uncertainty and having illegitimate hopes around guys named Drew Lock, things like that. I mean, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, pinning our hopes on a curse existing that definitely exists.
There's no hope in that, Brandon. Like that's a certainty. And I'm a little disappointed in all y'all for not having this catch on a little sooner here. I expected more.
That's going to be a slow
everybody.
build. It's the off season.
Okay. But # let's ride curse. This is happening. Because if we don't all curse it together, then it won't come into existence. And your hawker will suffer.
Absolutely. And I plan on this Let's Ride Curse building. I mean, you and I started calling people out, well, particularly you, started calling people out to do better. And now I hear Jim Rome saying it like all the time on his show, telling people to do better. So it's worked its way up to the national consciousness.
He's got actual money. Where's one of them really slick lawyers? I need one of them.
You need reciprocal, or what are they? You need royalties based off of the phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely money I did not earn, and I should definitely, in the true American fashion, find some sleazy attorney and try to sue somebody for using these common words that are clearly mine when you put them in that order with that emphasis.
We probably should have trademarked it, but maybe we still have a case.
I peed on it. Doesn't that count?
It's like you lick it and then that's yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't that hold up in a court of law? Like
it holds up in,
Isn't pee 9/10 of the law?
Is that what you did in your household? If your sister said that was hers, then you peed on it? And you're like, no,
but I learned this through my divorce. I didn't pee on enough stuff and it all went away. So
see, I don't know if I've heard the
I should have peed on the house, and at least one of the cars.
How did you not?
I thought I was being nice, and I was more house trained back then. Now I'm feral and live in the woods. I pee on everything.
Well, other people who are house trained are executive producers, starting with DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, and Rebecca Christensen. All of our great executive producers.
Absolutely. And know where to do their business. And that's what I like most about them.
Logan Crick in at 1212. Welcome to the flock to Logan. Says, let's go Hawks. In the draft, we need to draft Dameon Pierce from Florida. He's a monster. Worth a shot.
Okay.
And I talked to Rob Staten about Pierce. He's really high on him. Also talked to EJ Snyder. And he's a guy who, if you watch Pierce in college, he didn't play a ton. For whatever reason, he was the backup for Florida, but he was better than the guy who was ahead of him. Even though he played limited snaps, he was, in terms of the number of snaps to broken tackles that he made, he was number 3 in college.
So he kind of got Dunlapped a little bit?
A little bit.
Cool. I'll take Logan's word for it because obviously I don't know. But last name, you said it was Crick. How does he spell Crick?
Like Crick, not creek, like a body of water.
What body of water is that? It's a crick.
Yeah.
It's a crick. And with his last name, I am giving Logan honorary Montanan status.
Well, if it were spelled Creek, would I still say Crick?
Is there another thing to say?
Creek?
Where are you from? Like the Netherlands or something? Canada?
Yeah, I've lived in different places, and
it's Crick.
Yeah. What do you say, Washington too?
Well, no, I don't say Washington because that would be adding letters.
Yeah. Well, some people say Washington. My grandpa used to always say Washington. I don't know where he got that.
Did he say orange too?
Orange,
like he's a pirate.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But that's not something that stood out as something that he ever said.
Okay. Well, all my Jersey friends, they all say Wooder.
Wooder, yeah. I remember that one from the Navy. All the Jersey guys would say Wooder.
Yeah.
And we'd make fun of them.
Yeah. Well, they're also from Jersey, so that made that easy.
Daniel Corcoran also in, donated $20 via PayPal. So welcome to the flock to Daniel.
Buddy. Yeah, welcome, man. Appreciate that a ton. He says Crick the right way.
Do we know this for sure?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
It's stream, crick, and then river, depending on what.
Oh, I thought it.
Like a stream is anywhere from a trickle to 3 feet wide, and then a creek is like 3 feet wide to like I'd say up to probably about 30 feet wide, and then
I thought it was the other way. I thought creek was kind of like a stream that was only there part of the year.
No, that's a seasonal stream.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I did not get I guess I just didn't get a good enough education.
No way. But I bet you could spout off a bunch of shit about Lewis and Clark. That's all they talked about in school. Quick, Brandon, pop quiz. What type of dog accompanied Lewis and Clark on their journeys?
A Shih Tzu.
Yes. It was 5 Shih Tzus, and they ate 3 of them after they crossed the Rockies and they were starving.
I don't remember what kind of dog was with them.
Oh, it's a Newfoundland.
You're all about the Newfies for some reason.
Because they're rad dogs.
Okay.
Yeah. Hang out with a Newfoundland with a frown. I dare you. Can't be done.
Can't be done. Well, big thanks to our new members of the flock. If you want to get in the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com. And hey, thanks to all of you who are not harassing me overly about prizes. I'm getting out. I have my plan to get out the top 5 prizes. I've heard from everybody on what they want. So I have the prizes. I ordered some thank you cards because I figured I couldn't send out the prizes without writing a little thank you card. And so it took me some time to get those thank you cards into my possession. So now I'm working my way there. I'm going to get there. And then after I get the top 5 out, then I'm going to randomize the list of people who are weekly winners. And then I'll be contacting everybody to go through and you can pick your prize for your weekly win. It's the off season.
Yeah, man. Look, this is all I'll say about that. In 10 years, have you ever not gotten the prizes out?
No, I've always gotten the prizes out eventually.
There you go. That's all you need to know. You've been super consistent. You're a man of your word. And I think everybody trusts that you'll get it done when you get it done because you're a good person.
Usually I get it out before the draft, though.
Dude, sure. Yeah. It's going to be before week 1.
It's true. Before the new season.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now that we got that out of the way.
I just don't think you need to apologize to anybody. And I think everybody...
Did I apologize or I was just letting them know?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you're just letting them know. Maybe I'm now putting extra words into your mouth.
I did have an apologetic tone, so I think you read into that. But I was mostly informing them in case that they are wondering.
I just didn't want you to feel bad for kicking ass like you do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
On to some do better and better at life.
All right. My do better this week is for the Mile High Huddle and writer Bob Morse at Mile High Huddle. He wrote one of the dumber articles I've ever read in my life. Title is, Here's Why Broncos Won't Have to Reset QB Market on a Russell Wilson Extension. And basically, he goes through the situation in Green Bay, and he's like, well, Wilson's situation isn't like Rodgers. Then he goes through Derek Carr's new deal. He's like, well, they really didn't pay him that much money when you look at the guarantees. And then goes through the Watson situation and is like, oh, well, I mean, the Broncos aren't crazy enough to give up that much guaranteed money and yada, yada, yada. And he's like, in Russell's situation, none of those, situations are like Russell's. Like this is very different between the Broncos and Russell. And if they just handle this right, then they won't have to break the bank when it comes time to extend Russell Wilson. And basically his number one caveat, the number one thing that they have to do is just keep the negotiations quiet. And Russ will appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, that's all they have to do.
And I read that and I was like, that is one of the top 500 dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Have you seen Russell Wilson and the way that he's behaved in contracts throughout his career to this point? Has he ever taken the hometown discount for his team? And now you think he's with this brand new team and he's now going to give you the hometown discount just for keeping things quiet? Do you think Russ is going to keep those things quiet? Do you think if you went to his agent, isn't his agent Mark Rodgers?
Right.
Do you think if Peyton calls up Rodgers and goes, Yeah, so we were kind of thinking the starting point on the contract negotiations is maybe just a little above Derek Carr. What do you think the reaction's going to be?
I think that elicits a laughter on the end of Mark Rogers.
Hey, if you even get to the laughter, it might just be click first.
Yeah, and you just hear the dial tone. Does it? Well, I guess it's not a dial tone when you hang up a cell phone anymore, is it? That's unfortunate.
No, it is. It's just brutal silence.
Because when it's silence and then it goes to the dial tone, that was like the because then you knew you got hung up on. Whereas when you just have silence with a cell phone,
hello,
it could have cut out.
Hello, you still there? Yeah, you don't get the quality buzzer to let you know just how big of a loser you are now. But if they think that anything less than the Deshaun Watson contract is what Russell is going to be asking for, they are out of their freaking gourd. If you listen to all of the aspirations that Russell has talked about, once he leaves football, he's going to need a crap ton of money to get that done. He wants to be the owner of a team. He wants to be a billionaire. He wants to be that guy, that businessman, that LeBron type guy. He is not taking some lesser deal that you won't have to break the bank on because he kept the negotiations quiet. Give me a break, Bob. This was a stupid article. Do better.
There's always going to be the pie in the sky approach to when you get a new player is to, he just had to get out of a bad situation. He's just going to love it here so much that he's going to take a discount in terms of what other quarterbacks are taking in the market right now.
Even if Russ has the same year that he just had last year in Denver, if he has that year again this year, he's still asking for Watson money and not budging off of that.
Oh, yeah. Watson, Rodgers. I mean, it's got to be a fully guaranteed contract, and it's going to be at least 4 years.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's probably going to be next offseason that he's going to be asking about it, if not this coming season before the season starts. I'm a little bit surprised that he made the move without having the new contract right in place, but I suppose it makes sense because after seeing what Watson made, I mean, now is when you make your move for all that money.
We'll see what the Broncos end up doing.
Do you think Pete and John saw this coming, and that's why they made the move when they did?
I think it had 15-20% to do with it. It may be more. Like I was saying earlier, when they look at the league in Stafford, Goff, Garoppolo going to Super Bowl since the last time they have, that makes you wonder. Hey, like, does it make more sense to have more of a mid-tier guy and not break the bank and have a better team? Or a guy that flirts with the bottom end of the top 10? That the upper of the mid-tier guys.
You could pay 12 Austin Blythes for one Russell Wilson.
Yeah. You'd have a whole unit of Blythes.
And a backup.
Yeah. Can you imagine how furious you'd be with a whole unit of Blythes with a Blythe backup?
It'd be glorious if you're Pete Carroll and John Schneider.
Look, if they hadn't wasted $3.5 million on Geno Smith, they could have kept Bobby Wagner. Where's the Geno?
Why are you bringing that up? I'm trying to get over the Bobby stuff, and here you got to bring it back up.
Hey, he was just on with was it Rich Eisen or Dan Patrick? One of the two. And apparently he knew about the Broncos trade at least a week before, and Russ tried to recruit him along with him.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I think he tried to recruit Brandon Shell too.
Yeah.
Or he may still be trying to do that because Shell's still a free agent, right?
And that further broke my heart because at the end of Bobby's quote, he's like, well, what do you think about coming to the Broncos? He's like, I don't think anything about it. My heart's in Seattle. That's what he told him. Just hurt the heart to hear.
And that's what's got me the most bothered by this is, when you say that it's time to move on to, if you're going into full rebuild, you got to let Wags go. No, you let Wags make the decision. What do you want to do, Bobby? Do you want to play for this amount of money or not?
I definitely see it both ways. I definitely think that probably getting out from underneath the money was the right thing to do. I think, obviously, the way that it went down was abysmal.
Because I just can't wait until Cody Barton gets his $4.5 to $6 million contract next year. That'll be That'll be great.
What, a quarter of Bobby Wagner and you're going to be mad?
Just saying, maybe Bobby would have taken 8 or 9 to stay in Seattle. We don't know. We don't even know.
No, we don't. But I do know that Bobby Wagner, he requires $11 million for a year at least.
Yeah. Well, might do better this week. It's for Bruce Arians.
Good. I don't even know why yet, but good.
Oh, you will know why when we get into it. And, we really haven't talked that much about Bruce Arians retiring as the coach.
Being fired by Tom Brady?
Bruce Arians fired by Tom Brady.
There we go.
And,
let's just make sure we frame it right.
And everybody playing it out like, oh, what a great guy Bruce Arians is, because he said that he wasn't going to retire if Tom Brady decided to stay retired. But it's because Brady came back that he decided to step aside and turn the job over to Todd Bowles, because he's just that good of a guy. But here's his quote. So many head coaches come into situations where they are set up for failure. And I didn't want that for Todd. Tom's decision to come back, along with Jason and his staff doing another great job of keeping the core of this team intact during free agency, confirmed for me that it was the right time to pass the torch to Todd. So what Bruce Arians is saying, if Tom Brady weren't coming back, I would be setting up Todd Bowles for failure by turning this team over with the quarterbacks that we had in place. But because he's not that great of a coach, Tom Brady, now that he has him, I'm setting him up for success by leaving him with a quarterback that can play. Bruce Arians is not a great guy for stepping aside just for Todd Bowles. He's insulting Todd Bowles by stepping aside and making it seem like it's such a great job because he did it now that Tom's coming back. And for that, Bruce Arians, do better.
Definitely talking out of both sides of his mouth there. I don't think the firing, when that came down, went well with him. I can't imagine like Brady being like, hey man, so you're going to have to leave now. Sat well with Arians. And he came up with some twisted logic that actually does make some sense if I actually believed that in his heart he believed it, but he doesn't. I think Todd Bowles is a decent coach.
I think he's a decent coach too. The thing that I don't understand though in the statement is him saying that essentially if Tom weren't coming back, he would be setting up Todd Bowles for failure by turning it over to him.
I think it's a lot harder when you don't have a franchise quarterback. And I think the situation of it definitely is something that needs to be brought to light. Like, I don't think Todd Bowles is a terrible coach because of the situation he was with the Jets. If he goes on to the next head coaching position and it's another difficult position to be in and you fail, well, then you're probably only going to get, it's especially since he's not a white head coach, 0 more head chances at a head coaching job. If he's white, he'd probably get 5 more chances, but that's a whole nother, situation for another day. Because you know how much the NFL loves recycling the same old dudes for years and years. But I don't think Bruce Arians believed in his heart he was doing Todd a solid here.
I think this was more of Bruce saying, hey, look at me, what a good guy I am, by gracefully handing the job over to Todd Bowles. It was more of a look at me moment for Bruce than...
Wait, any moment of any day, right?
It's always about Bruce.
Yeah, it's always a look at me moment for Bruce, right?
I'm so glad that dude's gone. I want to see Todd Bowles have success with Brady.
Yeah, why not? We got to deal with a terrible year coming up.
If we're
here.
in the NFC Championship up against, it's Geno Smith or
Baker Locke.
Yeah, if it's Geno or Baker and we're going up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers to see who goes to the Super Bowl, that'll be a good season.
That'd be an amazing season.
I know.
And if they start Drew Lock, there is a world in which that ceiling is there. Still unlikely, but it's there. It's just not what
in that dream, he's having a better season than Russell Wilson because he made it to the NFC Championship,
or at least an on par one.
Russell Wilson I can guarantee, is not making it to an NFC Championship this season. I can guarantee it.
That's a hot take. Buddy.
I know.
I love it.
I know.
I think you have about a 70% chance of getting that one.
I'd put money on it.
I mean,
and
who knows?
Bet.
Maybe
you know?
Maybe they move the Broncos back to the NFC West before the start of the season. All of a sudden, you got issues.
And,
well, not back to, but into. Yeah.
Yeah, then I would have an issue.
Shoot, maybe the Broncos trade him by the beginning of this year because they're already tired of the celebrity CEO quarterback headaches and they can't agree to a contract.
Ooh.
And he ends up in
And it was all a ploy to get him to San
New
Francisco.
Orleans. Yeah. New Orleans.
Okay.
Or Carolina, since he's from Carolina.
I would think that it would have to be the backdoor route to San Francisco because there's no way that he would get traded in division. Because Shanahan and Russ, could you imagine?
That's a possible let's ride curse fruition right there. Like that could be how it manifests itself.
Would that be a positive development? It would be the let's ride curse on the Broncos.
It's all going to come back on the Broncos. Like it could end up being better for the Niners in the end if that weird scenario that will never happen happened. But ultimately, I want the Broncos to twist.
Yeah.
I want them to burn a little bit. Like my sports hate for the Broncos was reignited with this trade.
Maybe the curse should have come after getting rid of Von Miller.
It was the precursor.
Nice.
Yeah.
On to Better at Life.
All right, man. My Better at Life this week is for Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. Co-Better at Life this week.
All right, there we go. New co-owner of the Seattle Kraken. Riding the Zamboni around. Didn't even read the articles. Didn't click on anything. Didn't matter. I was just happy for Marshawn and him saying in his quote, the one thing I did read, as a young hyena, I always dreamed of owning a sports team or something like blah, 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 blah. It doesn't even matter. I just love that he referred to himself as a younger person, as a young hyena. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, he's now a professional sports team owner because before, he's part of the Fan Control Football League, and I suppose that's technically professional. But yeah, this is on par with like a legit national franchise now.
Absolutely, yeah.
At first, when I saw the video, it was far away, and I thought that it was just Marshawn riding on the Zamboni and not having he had another dude who was driving it.
A Zamboni operator, a licensed one. Yeah.
But no, they put out the close-up video on Tuesday, and it showed Marshawn spinning the wheel and making the turns.
Did they not watch him driving golf carts at Cal?
I thought that was what prompted it.
I mean, you would think that they would, make sure that there was a certified Zamboni pilot on board, but no, they just let Marshawn ride around on a machine with a bunch
had a co-pilot.
Okay. That's good. He needed so basically he had his Zamboni learner's permit.
Right.
Okay.
But he was still in the driver's seat. And I enjoyed seeing Marshawn spinning Brodies out on the ice. It looked like it was a practice arena. That must have been they didn't want him doing it on the actual ice of where the Kraken play.
Over on the next door, the curling ice or something like that.
Yeah, or
play on that.
It looked like a regulation hockey arena, but it had
practice
fewer
arena?
stands. So I'm guessing it must have been a practice arena.
Hard telling, not knowing.
But either way, Marshawn Lynch, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Heck yeah! I'm glad you were on board with that. I didn't know if that would be yours. I figured it might be, but I didn't care. Because I just love that story so much.
I just love that Marshawn is, continues to be a part of our sports community.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was the discussion we had on the last pod about the idea of, guys retiring as all-time Seahawks and things like that. And, like I said, it didn't much matter to me when a guy went and played a couple years somewhere else that didn't bother me as much. And I never even brought up Marshawn. And the whole time he was in Oakland, I wasn't mad about it.
Oh, well, that was his hometown team. And if that's the thing with Bobby, with LA being his hometown, it's hard to be mad, but it's still the rival Rams. And so I direct my anger more at our franchise for allowing it to happen than being mad at Bobby in particular.
I'm 100% on board with you there. I have no hard feelings towards Bobby at all. I hope he has a terrible professional year as a football player.
Well, it's okay because he's Bobby Wagner.
Right.
It's totally different.
Different guy.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.